Ohio State returns home for its only home game of October to face Minnesota Saturday night inside of the shoe. I'm Steven, that's Stefan, and that's Andrew. These are our outrageous predictions. It's time to get a little bit of wackiness going on this here show that we like to do on YouTube. Andrew, get crazy.
Lamar Bo Jackson, 152 scores. I think this is a really nice breakout game for him. I think we kind of talked going into that Washington game, and like I was mentioning, like I don't think you're going to see him early. I think you're going to see him end up with the most carries. That's what happened. They went with Donaldson early. As the game wore on, you started to see Bo Jackson. He looked physical. He looked tough. He looked aggressive. The burst was there. I think this is the time that you make that switch. I think this is kind of when you start to work that in. I think it would not shock me if Bo Jackson takes the first carry of the game, and it would not shock me if he ends up with those amount of carries. And with that said, I think Ohio State might run the ball a little bit this week. I think he might have a breakout game. 152 scores. I think this is going to be one of those games where the nation kind of looks at it and goes, wait a minute, this wasn't the guy that we saw versus Texas. This wasn't the guy that we saw last week, really, for the first part of the game against Washington. Now here comes Bo Jackson, and I think he's going to be very, very good. We're going to hear that stat, that the fact that his name is Lamar, and then he goes by Bo, and every announcer is going to love that, and we're all going to be inundated with it for years now. But I think that starts this weekend. He has a big game against Minnesota.
For the record, Minnesota is 5th in the nation in yards allowed per rush. They've also not played anybody. They also load the box a lot. So there's some things playing in your favor that if you've never played a Bo Jackson, but it's also, we know, but we're going to have 20 million people in the box. So even when we do play a Bo Jackson, there will be no running for you. It's going to be interesting to see that play out.
You break through that line, you get through the first or second level, there might be nobody there.
Yeah, because they're all in your face.
That's what I'm saying. You break through that line, they're gone.
Good luck, Bo Jackson. Stefan, get crazy.
Yeah, I'm going with Aaron Scott to get an interception in this game, and not just fourth quarter mop-up duty if this game indeed ends up being a blowout. I think Aaron Scott's going to factor into the rotation, maybe even the second quarter. I think Ohio State defensively will actually rotate a decent amount this game. Being at home, being against an offense that's not overpowered, I think it's an opportunity where we see some of those rotations, maybe even at corner. And Ryan Day, we talk about it all the time. We take what Ryan Day says in his Tuesday press conferences pretty seriously, right? Like, we don't treat anything like just coach speak when he calls out a specific player or praises a specific player. The way he talked about Aaron Scott and what he did on special teams, and kind of being an example of a guy who gives his all on special teams and is going to now earn reps on defense and in the game, I think Ryan Day is serious when he means that. I think we're going to see some significant play from Aaron Scott, and significant I mean in the sense of meaningful snaps, right? Like early in the game and in the first half. I think Drake Lindsey will see, oh, there's a guy that's not on the field a ton. Let's try to attack him. I think Aaron Scott's going to get an interception in this game. So I am starting to buy stock in him, right, because he is doing things to earn more playing time. And I think this Minnesota game is going to be a kind of, I don't know if I'd call it a breakout performance, but a game where you kind of circle and say, okay, next year when Aaron Scott is starting and he's doing really well and he's an all Big Ten caliber player, you say, hey, remember that stretch from that Washington game where he made an impact on special teams, and in that Minnesota game where he got an interception? That's when you kind of started to see it click for him. That's what this weekend is going to mean for him. So interception, Aaron Scott.
And this would be the first game where he's playing meaningful snaps, to your point. He almost had a pick against, I think that was Grambling, but they ruled it as an incomplete pass, which haters, man, ban replay. Let Aaron Scott have his interception. I'll pick the quarterback. Julian Sayin's career high right now is 347. And that came against Grambling. I'm going to say his first 350 game of his career. I'm going opposite of you. I think they're about to throw the ball around. And one, it's because Minnesota's going to load the box, which means Carnell and JJ and Brandon Ennis and Max Clare and Will Kazmarek have a field day. But also, they got to – it feels like every time they go conservative game, because it's a big game, they respond to that by just kind of letting Julian Sayin loose and letting them go. Ryan Day on Wednesday evening was talking, I see what you guys see. Okay, so can you do what I would do and throw it? I think this is an opportunity. I think this is Grambling Part 2, Ohio Part 2, where you're coming off of a game where Julian Sayin just earned some more trust, another checkpoint of a game, and now you're about to play a team who might give you more opportunities to push the ball downfield because they're not going to be in too high a bunch. So it's a chance for Julian Sayin, who, again, 10 yards per attempt and completing 78% of his passes. Stat game. stat game is what I'm thinking about, but it's not a stat game where it's like, oh, you played an FCS opponent. Of course, you only had one incompletion. It's a stat game in terms of you did this against a Big Ten opponent. Now we can start to have the conversations of, as we talked about on our live show on Wednesday afternoon, the reason they didn't have him at number 1 is because he just hasn't done it against reasonable competition yet. Okay, this is a chance to start doing that against Minnesota. Get the text 614-350-3315. Those are our outrageous predictions. You can share yours there for 2 weeks for free. After that, you got to pay $3.99 for it. But I promise you, it's the best $4 you could ever spend. Better than the $4 you could spend at Wendy's. Best $4 you could possibly spend in your life. 614-350-3315. Ohio State, Minnesota on Saturday. I'm Steven. That's Stefan. That's Andrew. See you after the game.